YouTube, what is going on? We are back with another Wuthering Waves video. We are playing Wuthering Waves. And so I had someone clear my tower for me. Because my sling, right? I'm still recovering from surgery. By the way, make sure to follow TTVE_thin. We're gonna try to be as active in there as possible. Hoping to get back to more often streaming this upcoming week. But I wanted to discuss this tower because I was one of the people who's very outspoken about the last tower adversity and it really being not good, and it felt a little predatory. It did. To me, it felt a little predatory. It felt a little shitty, and I think they did a great job here. Now, I still personally don't like the fusion and arrow res are increased. I think they could just get rid of that second half, and I think it's fine. Especially because you would still sell the characters by 10%, maybe make that 20, but whatever. I've already given my suggestions on how I would fix this. Go watch that in the other video. But so, pretty much these buffs are very free-to-play friendly. Straight up. There really is nothing negative here that I could say, or there really not that many people could say here, right? So, the middle tower is enemy Spectro and Havoc res are decreased by 10%. Wow, would you look at that? Well, guess what you have? You have the Rover, who has a Havoc version and a Spectro version, but also has a new Spectro artifact set for the DOT. Wow, what are they trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you, get your ass on Spectro Rover, brother. My Rover's so damn bad right now. He's all the way over here. I think he's only like level 50. But I want to break down pretty much what teams you could use, give you the simplest guide as possible, because realistically, everyone should have the keys to be able to beat this tower. It really isn't that bad. So, and what do I mean by the new artifact set? So again, obviously, Havoc Rover will still be on his main set, and then you go all the way down here. There is the new Eternal Radiance, which is giving you Spectro damage, but it's giving you 20% crit rate for 15 seconds, as well as 15% Spectro damage when you have 10 stacks of Spectral Frazzle, which is very easy to obtain. So, Ethan, what teams can I run? Because obviously, what if I want to, not run out of vigor and whatnot? I got you. It's really not that bad. So, let's break this down. We'll do middle tower first, because this is normally the hardest tower, right? So, at the time of this recording, normally I go over the usage data. Oh, wow, there is usage data here. I didn't even know that. Wow, okay. Very interesting, and I think it's very interesting nobody's running the Rover here, but, so, as you can see, what are the good teams here? Well, clearly, you have Spectro and Havoc, so, immediately, Jinxie and Camilla come to mind, right? So, Jinxie as the main DPS, and then, obviously, Camilla could be a main DPS as well, whichever one you prefer. These two are fine because it is only fighting against Inferno Rider, right? There's no other adds here. The boss is not resistant to either one of these elements, and so that could really work on elemental buff as well as the Rover, right? So if you're running Jinxie, obviously you would go the basic coordinated attacks, which also, by the again, we have here. Hitting a target with a coordinated attack increases all team members' attack by 2% and their resonant skill damage by 4% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. This is tailor-made for Jinxie, boys. This is tailor-made for her. She's coming out soon again. Excuse me, she's getting a rerun. So, again, like a Jinxie, GG/Yinlin team on the top half could work. Anyone with coordinated attacks, you could even use Yanwu. I mean, Yanwu won't really do any damage still, but whatever. And then, obviously, Camilla Sanhua is there. You can still clear this with Carlotta. Carlotta is still very valid here and very viable. Realistically, Carlotta is just like one of the best characters in the game. I'm not gonna lie to you. She's really, really solid. Let me actually move my head over here for a moment so you can see a little bit more. But she's solid. Again, her running with either Verena, Shorekeeper, and then again, if you're running her with Jeja, you will get that buff for the coordinated attacks. But even if you're not running her with Gigi and you're still running with her with someone like Yang Yang to funnel particles for your burst, that is still fine. It's very accessible. Very, very, very accessible. Now, if you're saying, well, Ethan, what if I'm using my Havoc or Spectro Rover? It's pretty simple. Havoc Rover can go quite a few ways. I mean, you could still run Havoc Rover with Donjon, because Donjon will have that outro to buff the Havoc damage by 23% for the amplification, and then I would personally run Verena or Shorekeeper, whatever you prefer. You could still go Sanhua. I mean, it's really not too deep. You can do tons of things. If you plan on pulling Roshia, you can do that as well, if you plan on pulling her, right? But then, even with the Spectro Frazzle, right? So you run Spectro Rover, who do you run? I mean, listen, man, fucking Yang Yang's not bad. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, people really be sleeping on Yang Yang. Just keep in mind that regeneration, the energy she gets from her outro is really good. 5 energy, 4 resonance energy for 5 seconds. That's 20 free resonance energy right there. You really can't complain. And Spectro Frazzle with that new set is pretty solid. So that would be that. Now, it is not impossible. Now, it's impossible to use Changli on this half because obviously this is Fusion. This is Inferno Rider. You can run Gion. It's 10%. If you are good enough, your Gion's built enough, and your rotations are crisp, Gion can work. The problem is not that Gion can't work, it's just that it's really much more annoying to use, but it is what it is. So we kind of got the top half down. Also, again, I left out Zhang Liao Yinlin is also a very solid team composition here. If you wanted to run hyper carry, I normally like running Zhang Liao with Chang Li, but in this instance, we cannot use Chang Li here because of the fact that Inferno Rider is Pyro, and also, again, the 10%, it's just not going to do as much damage, right? It would just be counterintuitive. But Zhang Liao, Yinlin / Shorekeeper, Verena, whatever you have is good. Bottom half, no Zhang Liao, no Zhang Liao, no Gion. Right? So what does that leave you with? Well, you're still left with a lot of the team compositions from previously. You were fighting the 2 Electro and the Feline here. So again, Jinsei with a coordinated attacker, even if it's Yanwu or Yinlin, you will still do fine. You would struggle a little bit on the first 2 enemies, but once you get to the Monkey, it's going to be a lot easier. She really just needs her incandescence. Obviously, Gigi would be the best, right? But obviously her, you can do your Jinsei and Chang Li. I really like this quick swap team, but I know it's not very accessible. So it's possible. I mean, again, they both all go off that resonant skill damage, but whatever. So that's viable. Camilla as well with Sanhua, Carlotta, and again, Rover is still good. The reason why this doesn't have as much as a problem, and I will drive this point home, is you are 1000% able to complete this with Rover, Yang Yang, or Sanhua / that Verena. It's very doable. It's very, very doable. Now, obviously, Camilla is going to do way more damage than your Havoc Rover, right? And any new Spectro DOT character will probably do more damage than Rover, wink, wink, but it's still very viable and so doable. So nothing too crazy there. Now we go to the right side here. Right side has the enemy Havoc res decreased by 10, so off rip, obviously, Camilla would be here. This one, obviously, you would not be running like agency, but you can run Camilla, you can run Carlotta. Gion is still very solid, even though they are a a 1.0 unit. Gion's still very viable here. Yeah, I mean, like, just the basic stuff. You can run Zhang Liao Yinlin here. Can throw in your Chang Li. There's really not too many limits here other than just making sure you're not running Spectro Rover or Jinsei. So this is fine. That's great. And then the left side right here, the bottom, we have Spectro increase. So someone was able to clear out my Camilla. My account's extremely dog shit, by the way. But this tide, you cannot use Zhang Liao Yinlin again. You should not be using that. You're going to struggle. And look. Could you use Carlotta here? The answer is yes. I actually wonder what the data would be, but I don't like using Carlotta in teams where there's multiple enemies just because it feels a little stinky. It really doesn't feel that great. So that's where you would get, again, the Camilla team comes in place. You can run your Jinsei here with your coordinated attack. Oh, actually, my apologies. I didn't even go over the buff on this tower and the prior one. So the buff here is when Resonators heal team members, their energy regen is increased by 20% for 4 seconds. When Resonators receive healing, their crit damage is increased by 30%. You're just putting out numbers, man. You're putting out numbers. The buff on this side and the other side are pretty crazy. It's low-key a free Shorekeeper, right? It's a free Shorekeeper. Like, the crit damage buff is insane. So all you gotta do is just get some healing, which you'll do regardless, and you get that buff. But yeah, the teams aren't really anything crazy. No Zhang Liao. Don't recommend Carlotta. Gion is 1000% doable, although that wolf is there, so it's kind of annoying. But I would go Jinsei. Guys, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a Jinsei Chang Li guy. It is what it is. But and Camilla is there as well, and obviously Havoc Rover / Spectro Rover can still work, right? So it's really accessible. It is very, very, very accessible, and there's obviously the 2% of the people in the world who solo Chixia, but it's whatever. Swapping back to this tower real quick, my bad, I completely forgot to touch on this. The Resonator's HP is above 75%, the crit rate's increased by 15%, and the basic attack damage increased by 40%. That's literally Camilla tailor-made. Also, again, that's a better buff than Shorekeeper. Shorekeeper gives 12 crit rate, 12.5 crit rate, something like that, maybe 13, right? So the buffs are great. The buffs are great. Overall, it doesn't seem too predatory, and it's really not that bad. So I will say, listen, boys, devs, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. KURO Games cooked on this one. They did a good job. So that being said, let me know what you think. I love you. Mwah. I'll see you in the next one.